Greetings everyone, welcome back to CCLP4 stuff. We left off on Suburban Legend, so let's go ahead and get started by playing and more talking and stuff. So this level is pretty interesting with its design choice of these 3x3 squares. And the like the whole design of this is pretty cool. Like, this is something like I would think a newbie would design, but at the same time the way it works is pretty cool, I think. And this chip is not accessible. I originally wasn't the biggest fan of this level, mainly because of the design. Like, the design is cool, but at the same time it felt a little generic, in my opinion, even though there's a partial post. But since then, and since its inclusion in CCLP4, it has warmed up to me, so I can't really argue. And technically you don't even need to put a block there, you can just get a teeth monster to do that. And the hint just makes the level fair, and the traps avoiding the guesswork and the partial posting, because the partial posting can be a little tricky. So yeah, technically you only need 2 blocks to solve this level, with an extra red key. And actually I don't even think you need the red keys to solve this level. Yeah, I don't think you even need the red keys to solve this. But yeah, definitely a good level. It was by Zephyr. I definitely want to see something like this with CC2 elements. Now that would be pretty interesting, because there's a whole lot more to choose from that way. And yeah, it just provide a lot more opportunity to do whatever with the level. So pretty good stuff. Alright, Zephyr Heights. So this is the first chip collecting level, or mass chip collection level of the set. This little bit right here I really like with the timing. It's a little harder to do in links, but at the same time it's doable. That's harder to do in links as well. So yeah, this is a level I designed fairly recently, about maybe 2 years ago, for Josh L6, and this thing just completely locked in on me. Can I not do that? There we go. See, that happens every once in a while, and I don't understand what causes that. But the only way I can get rid of it is by dying. Especially when it locks up all the keys like that, or locks up the key presses. It's a little annoying, but oh well. Anyway, you don't even need to have 2 gliders go up here. You can just have one do the job, and it's good enough. So this is a level I designed for Josh L6. It did pretty well in voting, I want to say. I don't think it was top 149 material, but it still did pretty well. We included it for the forest floors, the block aesthetics, and just the whole chip collectathon as well. Because this one, and I think there's only one more level that has more than 100 chips in the set. The level's title is a reference to a Pac-Man World 3 location, which, for those that don't know, Pac-Man World 3 is one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time. It's extremely underrated, but I love the game so much. It's not even funny. Alright. I just gotta go get those 4 chips. There's something on my screen. I just killed it. Alright. Not to mention the music from Pac-Man World 3 is pretty legit, too. It's worth noting that the bold time for this level is just barely over 400 seconds, so it's pretty... I've heard it's pretty challenging to get, but not terribly difficult, I guess. So, yeah, that's Zephyr Heights. Pretty fun level. Definitely one I'm proud of. This version isn't actually the version that's in Josh L6. There's a little bit, and I'll go back and show it. There's a little bit down here that I want to say a couple people in the staff chat complained about. Oh, okay, well. Anyway, this Force slide right there is technically lucky timing if you go down this way on the left, because there's no safe spot. When in Josh L6, there was a chip placed right here, because I wanted to remove that possibility of lucky timing. But some argued about it in the staff chat, and I offered to fix that, but no one really acted like they wanted that fix to be done, so I never did anything about it. But it's still complained about a little bit, which I don't think makes any sense. But that's just my opinion. I wouldn't have minded changing it, but no one responded to my offer, so it is what it is. Alright, Flipper Departments. Another level I just cooked that. I've never cooked this level before, of all the times I played it, even during testing and everything. This level I made, I originally designed this oh my god, I pressed left there, come on. There. Yeah, I originally designed this specifically for CCLP4 consideration. But I originally designed other levels for Josh L6, so this did extremely well in voting. I want to say this was in the top 20. This is in like the top 20-ish area. Yeah, definitely a level I kind of expected to do good in voting, but not that good. I know quite a few people like this level a lot, mainly for the open-endedness of it and the fact you can this level is non-linear. Like, you can do any of these rooms in any order, so a lot of people tend to do this room first, since it's harder, because you have to do the Force 4 timing and pay attention to the Force 4 sliding. I kind of wish I did that better, or made it bigger, but oh well. And this tank section is a direct copy from the tank section in Lesson 4, just with water pop-up balls and thieves added to it. There's nothing else different about it. I'm surprised no one's really caught on to that. So yeah, that's basically the whole level. Couple different changes went on with it. The upper right room wasn't originally what it was. It was actually harder to do when I first designed it, and then I redesigned that upper right section to be a little bit less involved. And there used to be a thief somewhere in that room that made the ball dodging harder, but it was removed to make it a little bit more easier on the player. Of course, the one thing I wish I did with this level was, again, make the force floor section either something else or not so precise, not rely on so much precision, but I think it works. I mean, it still did well, so clearly no one really seemed to be bothered by it, but oh well. Okay, so Hoodwinked is the next level. So this is an interesting level. It's technically the first low time limit level, because it only gives you 100 seconds to solve it. But you don't really need a whole lot of time to solve this level. It's essentially like Hunt, but with different elements involved. Okay. And then just get the teeth to come over here and press the button. Nothing to it. That was by Cybersmack again, who again designed some pretty awesome levels for this set. Worth mentioning, I notice I say that a lot in these videos, but it is worth mentioning that I did make a level with this level's walls, called, I think, American Zipline Competition. It's in Josh L6 Extended, or what I call Josh L6, because it essentially is the new Josh L6. Pretty fun level if you want to go check that out. I'm not self-promoting at all, at least trying not to. Alright, Big Boulder Alley. Oh, come on. So this has the Frogger title reference, and I forgot to mention that Reservoir Frogs was also a Frogger title reference. So we have two Frogger references in CCLP4, and then of course one in CCLP1. This ice section always nerve-wracks me, even though it's logical. Alright. Now for this little Sokoban, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is a pretty awesome level. Definitely one of my favorites Jeffrey's ever designed. I don't think I ever mentioned that, but it definitely is up there as one of my favorite Jeffrey levels in existence. Some people don't really like how linear this level is, and I kind of agree with that to a certain degree, but I think this level works better as a linear level than it would as an open-ended level, personally. I don't think this level would have worked in given the option to do it in any way you want. Like, there's some levels that work with that idea, and there's just some other levels that just don't. Like, imagine Flipper Departments but linear. No one would have enjoyed it. At least I don't think they would have. Alright, so press the tank button. Press that. Do that. And just barely miss the improvement. Oh well, I'm not going for those. But that was by Jeffrey, which I've already mentioned. This level was originally busted. That no one caught during testing, but we caught it when we play tested the levels for the final assembly, right? The final beta test run or whatever that we did, or at least one of the betas that we played through. There was a bust to this that allowed you to skip a huge chunk of this level. But Jeffrey fixed that to not let that be possible. Otherwise, the whole level would be pointless. So, yeah, I think the bust involved pushing the block somewhere else in the beginning and skipping the whole blue lock section. I'm not 100% sure, or I don't 100% remember what it was, but it had something to do with that. So, blended Brussels sprouts. This is a pretty interesting level as well. Definitely not where was I gonna go with that? Definitely not one I expected in the set, but we kind of figured we were lacking some Force 4 levels. Looking back at it now, I think we had just the right amount of Force 4 levels, because there's Zephyr Heights, there's this level, there's a level coming up in this decade. What else is there? There's at least a couple more. So I don't know. I think this might have been one too many Force 4 levels in CCLP4. Oh, come on, really? But the general idea with each of these sections is pretty interesting. Like, it kind of prepares you for what's to come in later levels. Like this section right here, it involves nailing and such, but then once you get the green key, you just break all the nails that you were originally stuck by and move on. And this one kind of prepares you for one of the later levels in the set. And nice 1 second improvement. I thought I did a little better than that. But oh well. Yeah, that was Blended Brussels Sprouts by Jeffrey once again. Choose your tools wisely. One must be left behind. Okay, so tool shed. This was a... I'm not sure if this was a last minute inclusion or if this was included like in the middle. I think this was included like during the middle of the set. Like once we have our obvious picks, we had this a couple of different rounds of like other levels to choose from. Like once we had our obvious picks for the set, we went through, I think we had like 110 levels guaranteed to be in the set or something like that. And once we had those 100 and some odd number levels, then we started going through like we started spreading out throughout the rest of the voting results from like the top 400-ish range, and just kind of picked like what could be used to kind of spread out the variety of the levels that were guaranteed in the set. Well, I want to say this was one of them. And not only that, but this level did decently well in voting. And there's not really another level in the set like this. It's kind of a little brain teaser for players, which some people are suckers for. I certainly am, but this is kind of a good example of a really good brain teaser level. In terms of like, oh, what item do you not get, which in this case is the skates. But pretty good level otherwise. That was by Andrew Menzies. Alright, Frozen Waffle. So, right off the bat, you can tell this is level 34. So one might be expecting this to be a Scyther level. Well, in some way, it kind of is, and in other ways, it's not. And I'll go ahead and show that when we finish this level. But this level is pretty fun to play. I actually tried to make a mod of this level recently to not include the ice, because the ice really doesn't need to be there, but I soon realized that the ice does need to be there, otherwise certain things of this level wouldn't work. So yeah, I didn't do that. So secret password number 1, WTUH. This is the approach we took with the Scyther levels for this set. We kind of wanted to break the trend of the traditional Scyther levels with the, level makes 3 passwords and you can use them. We decided to use a secret hint approach because that started to catch on shortly after CCLP4 came out, and we had plenty of levels that provided secret hints already, some of which we added hints to. But this one had already had the secret hint, and since it's just right outside the gameplay area, we kind of figured that was a good start to introduce the secret hints to the player. So yeah, that's the approach we went with for the Scyther levels. Pretty awesome way to go about it, honestly. Hopefully we can probably do the same thing for future CCLPs. I know CC2 doesn't have a password system, which is kind of unfortunate, but who knows, maybe we can implement it in some way, like replace the secret hints with bonuses or something. Like, that would be pretty cool. Alright, chasing chips. This freaking level is so much fun. I can't even express it. I love this level. This is one of my top favorite levels in all of CCLP4. This level is just so reminiscent of Hunt, and as a kid, I loved Hunt as a kid. Like, there'd be times where, since when I was younger, I didn't exactly have access to a level editor. I either had my imagination with the original game or a pen and paper. And most of the time I used pen and paper, but all the times I didn't want to, I would go on existing levels in CC1 and play them, and then kind of like remove random chips, and then stop at a certain time and pause it, and then I would probably give the game to my brother, and he would solve the rest of the level for me and collect the chips that I didn't collect in the given amount of time. Like, we had little bits of fun like that, and this level just reminds me of that so much, and I really enjoyed doing that as a kid. Like, if there was some way I can demonstrate it, I would. But levels with vast amounts of chips like those were the easiest ones to make use of with your imagination, or our imaginations at least. Not to mention that this level is also unique enough in that it has the chase sections as well. Like, it has its own identity solely because of that, which I think is cool. Oh boy, I barely made that. So yeah, chasing chips. I have to especially thank Tyler for like throwing this in my face, because I know he really likes this level as well. Like, come on, guys. You don't need to be near this chip. Now you're near my exit. This level originally had a time limit of 600, but we lowered it to 450 because we felt like it didn't need that high of a time limit. But that was the only change we made. Actually, no. Another change we made that I forgot to mention, thanks step-dependent stuff. If I can get to it, that'd be nice. I should just replay this level again. Yeah, that ball cloner right there originally wasn't there. It was a block cloner at first, and this wasn't a super necessary change to make. The only reason why we got rid of the block cloner in favor of a pink ball cloner was just to remove this level from having a block. Like, that was one of the level categories we had when we were assembling levels for the staff. Like, we didn't want to have a lot of levels to include blocks. And while I don't think removing a block cloner that really doesn't do any good for the level as a whole was necessary, it was still removed just to say it didn't have any blocks at all. So that was the only other change we made to this level. Everything else plays out the same. So yeah, worth saying that, or worth showing that off. Alright, one who raids tombs. This is a pretty awesome level too. I think this level's a little too easy. Like, I think this would have been much more better suited for CCLP1 had it been created by then, or created back then. But as a CCLP4 level, this did very, very well in voting. I want to say this was in like the top 30 or 50-ish. I want to say. We actually compared this level to Wastelands of Tabora by Jeffrey, which also did pretty well in voting as well. However, we decided to go with this one because we felt like we needed another low-medium difficulty level. Like, I want to say we were just a little afraid of escalating the difficulty a little too much, and we thought including Wastelands of Tabora along with the other harder levels that the set has would just be a little too much for the player. Even though this wasn't really meant to target towards a beginner or anything like that. Looking back at it now, I definitely wish we went with that level instead of this. Because there's not a lot of people that like this level, despite the fact that it did really well in voting, which kind of surprises me. Like, you guys voted on these levels. I mean, you guys gave this level a high rating, and now all of a sudden you don't like it. Like, what gives? But I didn't design it, even though it has some design quirks I would use. I did not design this level. But we compared it to Wastelands of Tabora because it had the same aesthetic, but with a different approach. Wastelands was more puzzle heavy than this one. This one is more variety than anything, and I think that's why we went with this, I want to say, aside from the fact that it was easier. But I could be wrong. I don't remember the chat history. But Andrew, who has been commenting on these videos, will probably know, so he'll fill you in on the comments. I'm pretty sure. So that was by Eddie Lim, who we haven't seen a level from since Pixelated Fire, I think. Yeah, this is the second level in the set, so yeah. Alright, Tropical Hibiscus. I think that's how you pronounce the title. So this is one of my levels. This is actually the first level in this part of the set where I have 3 levels in a row. So this level and the next 2 are mine. But this level did a little better in voting than I would have liked it to. This was like 46th place, I think, or 47th. Like, this did very well, like, and I'm quite surprised by that. This level uses the walls of twisted chambers. This was also made for a crate competition. I think it was the walls of CCLP4 competition that this was designed for. And actually, all 3 of my entries from that competition made it into CCLP4, which is pretty ironic, because I didn't design any of them with the well, I scratch that. I didn't design 2 of them with that intent. Oh, really? I thought I could make that. But yeah, the idea behind this level was, I was mostly inspired by Bathing in Battery Acid by Jeffrey, which, if you don't remember, that was a level in Ultimate Chip 5 that I absolutely loved and I wish was expanded on, because that was a fun level to play. And I was inspired by that with the opposing force floors, because opposing force floors is pretty interesting as a concept. And I used the pink balls to provide some contrast to the level, make the level colorful and pretty, because, you know, I like making levels as colorful as possible. There's some levels where I go with, you know, a certain color theme, or I like to make them colorful and pretty, and I know that's not the best way to look at level design, but that's how I approach it. So, and that's probably my one regret with this level, is the fact that you can backwards boost on these, but couldn't really be helped. It's just one of those things MS allows you to do that Lynx doesn't. When I designed this, I originally was going to have dirt in place of the water. I was going to make it more desert themed, but I decided to. I had this title in my personal level title bank, which doesn't have a lot of levels titles in it, by the way, so don't ask. I had it in my own personal title bank for quite a long time, and I saw it and I thought, if I replace the dirt with water, it will be more tropical themed, and then I used the title. So that's where the title came from. And of course, I'm going to read the secret hint. It doesn't showcase a password, but I include it just for the hell of it. You should probably be looking for the exit. Really, just only include that just to kind of quote-unquote make fun of the player for going to the hint to start with. Other than that, no purpose to it whatsoever. If ported to CC2, I would be glad to turn that into like a bonus flag or whatever. Alright, Detonation Station. So, this level has a little bit of history to it. Originally it was titled How I Learned to Stop Bombing and Love the Worry. I really wish the title stayed. I really wish that title stayed. But no one really wanted to have a super long title like that, so that was the reason to change it. JB actually suggested this title, and I liked it, so I went with it. Or stuck with it, rather. But yeah, this level did... I don't want to say it did terribly well. I would have liked this to have done better than, say, Tropical Hibiscus. But a lot of us staff members really liked this level and thought it was a really good choice for CCLP4 to provide, bomb exploding and whatnot. And my routing of this level is not that good. Basically, when I designed this, I came up with the block configuration first, and then I thought, what can I put here to make this more interesting? That's when the whole bombs came into play, and of course, I had designed How I Learned to Stop Bombing Love the Worry first, so I thought I'll name this the opposite. So I named it How I Learned to Stop Bombing and Love the Worry, and then I thought, well, that doesn't make much sense because what's there to worry about? And then I thought, oh, the time limit. So I made the time limit, I think I want to say I made the time limit 200 at first, when I first designed it. And I don't remember who it was, but someone told me that that might have been a little too short, especially for Lynx players. And I want to say they encouraged me to up it to 300, but I thought that would be a little too much time to give, even for Lynx players. So I thought, no, I'll change it to something a little bit higher than 200, but lower than 300, and that's when 250 came into play. Yeah, so this level was meant to have a strict time limit. But it's kind of hard to make a level like this have a strict time limit when you don't know how strict it could be. Like, it's one of those levels where you can make it strict on your own, which I think is really good for the level. Like, you can make it strict or you can make it easy. So I think the bold's like 208 in MS, so it's clearly not that strict of a level time-wise if you have a really efficient route. But as you can see, I solved it with like 92 seconds, I think. So yeah, that's Detonation Station. In the Walls of Gravel Castle. I don't know how long I've been going on for. I want to say I've been going on for like 37 minutes, according to the timer I have going on my computer screen, aside from my phone stopwatch, but it's going pretty slow. And I feel like I've been recording longer than that, so just to play it safe, I might end it here and just continue on later. Yeah, I'll actually do that just to play it safe, because I don't know how long I've been going on for. So yeah, until again, guys, thanks for watching. This might not have been terribly formal or informal than the previous two videos were, mainly because there just wasn't a whole lot to talk about with these levels, because the beginning of the set, there really isn't a whole lot to discuss or share, aside from the rankings the levels got, and my own design history with my own levels, and little tidbits of random information, my own personal opinions and such. That's really all I can have to talk about with these first few decades. But once we get to stuff like in the 70s and onward, there'll be a whole lot more to talk about. I want to say even before that. I want to say once we get to like level 60, there'll be a lot more to talk about, and level 51, of course. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.